The rarest kinds of people don't chase the spotlight. They naturally draw in depth and understanding. Welcome back, Stoicism Pathways. You didn't land here by coincidence. You're part of a quiet collective, individuals who read between the lines, who value depth over noise, and who crave a real understanding of human behavior beneath the surface. Today, we're diving into something most dating gurus and relationship voices rarely talk about: the true signs of what happens when a man develops feelings for a Sigma woman. Not an approval seeker, not an attention-driven alpha chaser, but a Sigma female. Independent, self-contained, steady in her own energy, and untouched by the pressure to blend in. Men don't always verbalize what they feel for a Sigma woman, but they reveal it, not through dramatic displays, but through subtle shifts and small behaviors that most people never notice. This isn't the usual 9 signs he's into you. This is something deeper, nuanced, intelligent, unpolished. If you're ready to understand how a Sigma woman quietly transforms a man's emotional world, keep watching. And if you're new here, subscribe and become part of this circle of truth seekers. People who don't chase trends, but chase clarity. And if this channel has ever motivated you, helped you break patterns, or simply feels like a meaningful corner of the internet, you can support the work directly. Buy me a coffee to help keep this space focused, independent, and full of genuine value. Links are in the description and pinned in the top comment. Let's begin. Undun, the mirror glitch. When a man begins to fall for a Sigma woman, one of the first things that happens, often unconsciously, is what I call the mirror glitch. Here's what that means. He starts reflecting her energy, not by choice, but by emotional osmosis. He begins to shift in subtle ways. His habits bend, his self-awareness increases. He starts making different choices, quieter ones, more introspective, and he has no idea why. This is not because he's trying to copy her. It's because the Sigma woman holds a rare kind of stillness that disrupts a man's autopilot. Her energy causes him to see himself, often for the first time, without performance, pride, or pretense. He may start spending more time alone, not in sadness, but in solitude. He might read more, think more, even journal. He starts to mirror her internal world because her presence has disrupted the normal way he connects. This mirroring is different from infatuation. In infatuation, people imitate to gain approval, but with a Sigma woman, approval isn't the currency. She doesn't give approval freely. She doesn't need anything from him. This shakes him. It forces something in him to adjust. So he adapts, not out of control, but out of admiration. In fact, this glitch in the mirror is sometimes uncomfortable for him. He'll catch himself saying things he never said before, feeling drawn to places or conversations he once ignored. Maybe he suddenly values silence. Maybe he rethinks the way he speaks about people. Maybe he notices how often he used to perform just to feel loved. All of this happens without her demanding it. She didn't ask him to change. She didn't try to fix him. She just is. And her being is powerful enough to create reflection. This is what happens when someone meets a person who exists outside the validation system. He mirrors her because something in him wants to evolve, not compete, not to win her, but to stand beside her and feel like he belongs. Over time, this glitch deepens. It becomes a transformation. His ego might resist it. He may try to shake it off by chasing shallow distractions again, but they don't feel the same anymore. They don't hit the way they used to because the mirror has already cracked. And in that crack, he saw something real, both in her and in himself. That's the beginning of the fall, not into romance, but into self-awakening, triggered quietly by the presence of a Sigma woman. 2. The silent sink. One of the most misunderstood emotional shifts that happens when a man starts falling for a Sigma woman is what I call the silent sink. This is not about him saying the right things or expressing his interest through obvious actions. This is deeper, almost energetic. It's the moment when he starts feeling her emotional rhythm without her having to speak a single word. You see, a Sigma woman doesn't overshare. She doesn't perform her emotions for attention. She's naturally reserved with her inner world, not because she's cold, but because she's selective with who gets access to it. And what happens is fascinating. The man drawn to her starts tuning into her unspoken signals. He watches the small shifts in her facial expression. He reads her silences. He senses her discomfort before she names it, not out of anxiety, but from a growing emotional connection. He begins to notice how her energy changes in certain environments. He starts realizing when she's overstimulated, tired, inspired, or guarded, all without her ever saying it. This is the silent sync, and it's powerful because it creates a bond that feels telepathic, a non-verbal trust that he doesn't share with other women. It's not that he's guessing her feelings, it's that he's feeling her presence more deeply. His awareness expands, his empathy activates, his pace slows down to match hers. Sometimes he'll surprise her by doing something she didn't expect, bringing her space instead of attention, or offering quiet support instead of words. It feels to her like someone finally sees her without trying to fix or impress her. This synchronicity isn't easy for most men. They're often conditioned to react, fix, or entertain, not observe and hold space. But a Sigma woman doesn't need fixing. She needs space to breathe and someone who can exist with her in stillness. When a man starts syncing with her silence, he stops fearing it. He understands that her silence isn't distance, it's her way of preserving peace. And instead of interrupting that peace, he starts protecting it. You'll notice him matching her tone, speaking softer, pausing more before responding, respecting her time, her rituals, her need to disconnect. This kind of sync doesn't come from infatuation, it comes from respect. It's not about intensity, it's about alignment. And once it starts, it's hard for him to go back to shallow connections that demand constant stimulation. He realizes that with her, silence isn't emptiness, it's depth. And that realization, that's how you know he's not just interested, he's invested quietly, completely. 3. The lone wolf dilemma. Here's where things get complicated. When a man starts falling for a Sigma woman, he enters what I call the lone wolf dilemma. Most men are taught to pursue through dominance, charm, or boldness. They rely on games, status, or validation loops to gain attention. But when he meets a Sigma woman, those tactics don't land. Why? Because Sigma women aren't playing that game. They don't chase, they don't fawn, they don't fold under pressure. They stand alone by choice, not by fear. And that puts him in a very unfamiliar position. He finds himself wanting to pursue her, but unsure how, because what usually works doesn't work here. Flattery falls flat. Over-explaining feels excessive. Bragging is invisible to her. So he starts to rethink his entire approach. And this creates a kind of internal tension, the lone wolf dilemma. He wants her attention, but he doesn't want to invade her space. He feels the pull, but he knows she values freedom. He desires connection, but not at the cost of disrespecting her emotional autonomy. So what does he do? He starts observing. He slows down. He listens. This isn't passivity. This is restraint born from respect. He realizes that to get close to her, he needs to earn access, not demand it. He has to show up as a full, stable version of himself, not as a mask or performance. And this is hard for many men, because it requires vulnerability without guarantees. It means showing genuine interest without being rewarded right away. It means allowing her to choose him, not seducing her into submission. He may even doubt himself at this point, wondering if she's interested at all. But deep down, he knows something rare is happening. She's not ignoring him. She's watching him, silently, measuring his consistency, his patience, his emotional intelligence. If he stays honest, grounded in who he is, not in who he thinks she wants, the dynamic changes. She begins to open, not quickly, but meaningfully. And the dilemma dissolves, because it was never about winning her. It was about meeting her. Eye to eye, soul to soul. This internal shift, this quiet discipline to hold space instead of chase. This is how you know he's falling. Not just into attraction, but into real reverence. 4. The fortress shift. Every man has a fortress. It may not look like stone walls or emotional silence on the surface, but it's there, built from years of conditioning, disappointment, pressure, and protection. Most men have been taught not to reveal their soft parts, to keep it together, to never let anyone get too close. But when a man starts falling for a Sigma woman, something begins to shift inside that fortress. Not violently, not all at once, but slowly, quietly, one window at a time. And that shift is what I call the fortress shift. It's subtle. You won't notice it through declarations of love or emotional outbursts. That's not how Sigma women operate, and that's not how he responds to her energy. What you'll notice instead is that he starts letting her see parts of him that don't normally come out. The parts he doesn't share with friends, family, or past lovers. He may start revealing his unfiltered thoughts, even the ones that scare him. He might speak about dreams he gave up on, or ideas he never said out loud. He might talk about childhood moments, fears he hasn't processed, or hopes he rarely admits he still has. And here's the key. She didn't ask for any of this. She didn't push him to open up. She didn't interrogate his soul. She simply created enough space for safety to grow. And he felt it. With a Sigma woman, vulnerability isn't demanded. It's invited. Her energy says, I'm whole already. You don't have to impress me. But if you're real, I'll see you. That message breaks down walls faster than romance ever could. So the fortress begins to shift. It doesn't fall, it doesn't explode. But he opens a door, then another, then a hallway, and eventually she's standing in a part of his mind no one has walked through before. He might not even understand why he's sharing so much. It might shock him. But this is what happens when a man is not being pursued by neediness or drama, but by authentic stillness and self-possession. This shift is sacred and rare. Most people never reach it because most people either try to climb the fortress or destroy it. The Sigma woman does neither. She sits just beyond the gates, waiting to be invited in, and that changes everything. This is how trust forms, not through words, but through energetic integrity. Through his choice to lower the defenses, not her demand that he do so. So when you see a man begin to reveal himself slowly, awkwardly, sometimes even clumsily without being prompted, know this, he's not just opening up. He's offering sanctuary to someone he believes won't misuse it. And if you're that Sigma woman, understand how rare this is. Understand what it means to be the first one he trusts with the blueprint of his internal world. That's not just affection. That's the beginning of emotional loyalty, and it runs far deeper than attraction. 5. The disruption high. There's a reason why some men feel both mesmerized and destabilized around a Sigma woman. It's not because she plays games. It's because her presence alone disrupts the emotional systems they've always relied on. This disruption is not dramatic. She doesn't cause chaos. In fact, her calmness is what makes the shift so powerful, and it creates a psychological reaction that I call the disruption high. Here's what happens. He meets her. He expects her to respond the way others do, with excitement, flattery, curiosity, maybe even flirtation. But instead, she stays centered. She's not cold, but she's not reactive. She's not rude, but she doesn't inflate his ego. She holds herself like someone who doesn't need anything from him, and that is what stuns him. Suddenly, he's not in control of the dynamic. He can't steer it using charm or routine. He realizes he's dealing with someone who isn't trying to gain favor. She's simply existing on her own frequency, and he feels it. That's the disruption. He becomes aware, painfully aware, of how performative he's been in past connections. He starts to feel how much energy he's wasted trying to win people over. And the Sigma woman reflects that back to him simply by not participating in it. Instead of pulling him in with seduction, she challenges him with silence. Instead of chasing him with need, she invites him through detachment. This creates a strange emotional high, because it's the first time in a long time he's felt off balance in a good way. She doesn't reject him, but she doesn't chase him. She doesn't validate his every word, but she listens deeply when it matters. And that combination rewires him. It makes him look at himself differently. It makes him question what kind of man he's been and what kind of man he wants to become in her presence. He starts to feel inspired, not by her praise, but by her example. He wants to rise to her level, not because she demands it, but because her energy makes anything less feel hollow. This disruption is where transformation begins. It's uncomfortable, it's unpredictable, but it's real. He starts changing how he thinks, what he prioritizes, how he spends his time. Not to win her over, but to match the version of himself she unintentionally awakened. That's the high. Not the thrill of conquest, but the awakening of self-respect. And once he's felt that, there's no going back. 6. The absence echo. There's a moment in every man's story with a Sigma woman that doesn't feel dramatic but leaves a deep mark. It's the moment he realizes he misses her, not in a casual, I wish she texted kind of way, but in a way that changes the air in the room when she's not in it. This isn't about craving attention. This is something deeper. It's what I call the absence echo. It starts subtly. He notices her not responding right away, and his usual distractions, social media, friends, work, feel a little more hollow. He finishes something exciting in his day, and instinctively wants to share it with her. But when she's not there, a kind of silence opens, not just around him, but inside him, and that silence echoes. This is the opposite of infatuation. Infatuation is loud, it's obsessive. The absence echo is quiet, haunting, and persistent, because what he misses isn't drama, affection, or validation. What he misses is her energy. The way her presence calmed his system without effort. He might try to ignore it at first. He'll rationalize it, distract himself, even tell himself it's nothing. But the longer her energy is absent, the more he feels the difference she made. He remembers how conversations with her didn't drain him. They grounded him. He remembers how being around her didn't demand performance. It invited presence, and those memories start to carry weight. Here's what makes this echo so powerful. She never asked to be missed. She never tried to create dependency. She simply offered something so rare, stability, authenticity, peace, that once it's gone, everything else feels loud and artificial. He might compare her to others, not intentionally but inevitably. Suddenly, shallow flirtations feel forced. Conversations that used to be exciting now feel empty. The absence reveals the truth the presence couldn't. This is when the internal voice begins to speak. Why do I feel better when she's around? Why do I feel clearer after I talk to her? Why does the world feel heavier without her insight in it? That's not just longing. That's alignment recognized through absence. The echo gets louder the more he resists it. Because the Sigma woman didn't fill a hole in him, she activated a part of him that's been asleep. And once awakened, that part starts asking questions about the life he's built, the company he keeps, the kind of man he's becoming. So don't mistake his silence for disinterest. Sometimes the loudest realization is the one he doesn't say, the one that lives in the stillness after you're gone. If you're a Sigma woman, know this. Your value doesn't always show up in applause. Sometimes it shows up in the quiet echo that follows your absence and what that silence teaches him about himself. 7. The language shift. One of the most overlooked and revealing signs a man is falling for a Sigma woman is how he begins to speak around her. Not in the sense of romantic poetry or sudden vulnerability, but in subtle, deliberate shifts in how he chooses his words, expresses himself, and communicates his presence. This is the language shift. When he first meets her, he may try to lead with charm or default to the same conversational patterns he's used for years. But very quickly, he realizes that those patterns don't resonate with her. She doesn't respond to flattery. She doesn't feed his ego. She doesn't reward surface-level banter. And instead of pulling away, something in him adapts. His language begins to evolve. He slows down. He listens more. He stops interrupting. He pauses between sentences, not out of insecurity, but out of intentional presence. Because a Sigma woman doesn't just hear words, she reads energy. She senses when someone is speaking just to speak or speaking to connect. So he learns, without being taught, that every word around her must carry meaning. You'll notice the difference. Around others, he might be loud, animated, maybe even performative. But around her, he becomes measured, not in fear, but in respect. He understands that careless talk doesn't belong in her space. He feels the weight of her attention and rises to meet it. Over time, his vocabulary changes, not because he's trying to impress her, but because she makes him more mindful. He chooses precision over persuasion. He speaks not to win her, but to honor the moment. And this shift is not just external, it reflects an internal transformation. He starts being more honest, not just with her, but with himself. He stops saying things to be liked. He starts speaking what's true, even if it's raw or imperfect. That's how you know something real is happening. He also becomes more comfortable with silence. He no longer fills every pause with noise. He recognizes that in her presence, silence is not awkward. It's sacred. This is a man learning a new emotional language, one built on depth, clarity, and conscious intent. And most importantly, this change lasts because after speaking to someone who listens without judgment and holds space without pressure, he can't go back to conversations that only skim the surface. He's tasted something more, not louder, not faster, but truer. And that shift, that's not infatuation. That's the birth of emotional intelligence sparked in the presence of a Sigma woman. 8. The guarded glance. There's a look he gives her that isn't easy to catch, but once you see it, you'll never forget it. It's not lust. It's not admiration. It's not even longing. It's something heavier, more layered, a kind of internal calculation masked as a quiet gaze. I call it the guarded glance. When a man begins to fall for a Sigma woman, he doesn't fall the way he might with others. There's no open emotional flood, no chasing, no loud declarations. There's just this internal tension between curiosity and caution, and it shows up in his eyes. He'll glance at her when she's not looking, not to objectify her, but to figure her out, not to conquer her, but to understand what she is. Because Sigma women aren't readable. They don't wear their desires on their sleeves. They don't give away the map. They are the mystery. And that drives his attention deeper. So he watches, not obsessively, not creepily, but attentively. Like a student studying an unfamiliar language. He watches how she reacts to things, how she speaks to others, how she withdraws when something feels off, or how her energy shifts in different environments. He begins to notice the invisible signals most people miss. And in those moments, behind that glance, his thoughts are racing, not with pickup lines or fantasies, but with questions like, how do I get closer without overstepping? Why do I care what she thinks about me? Why does she feel like the only person who sees through everything I project? That glance is not just about attraction, it's about risk. He knows, even if he can't articulate it, that getting close to a Sigma woman is not casual. It will cost him something, ego, comfort, maybe even parts of his identity. So he guards himself. He protects the very thing he wants to share, because deep down he senses this woman will not tolerate half-truths, and he's not sure if he's ready to offer the whole thing. Still, the glance lingers. Sometimes she catches it, and he'll look away. Other times, he holds it just long enough to say everything he can't put into words. That's when you know he's not just intrigued. He's processing a shift. It's subtle, it's internal, it's real. And for a man not used to feeling exposed, that glance becomes his shield and his signal at the same time. So if you ever feel his eyes pause on you longer than necessary, and it carries the weight of 100 unspoken thoughts, know that what you're seeing is the beginning of a man rethinking who he is in your presence. 9. The inner pilgrimage, the final and most telling sign that a man has fallen, truly fallen, for a Sigma woman is not about how he treats her. It's about what he begins to do with himself. This is the inner pilgrimage, without her asking, without her nudging, without any spoken expectation. He begins to evolve. You see, a Sigma woman doesn't inspire growth by pressure or persuasion. She doesn't hand out checklists. She doesn't say you should work on this. She simply lives at a frequency that invites transformation if the other person is ready for it. And when a man is truly falling for her, he starts to feel the discomfort of his own stagnation, not because she calls it out, but because standing next to her reveals it. He becomes aware of things he used to tolerate. Mediocre habits, lazy thinking, shallow decisions. They start to itch. They start to feel embarrassingly small. She doesn't criticize, but her standards, her discipline, her quiet alignment with her own values, they challenge him. So he sets off inward. Maybe he starts working out again. Maybe he picks up a book instead of numbing out. Maybe he finally addresses the emotional wounds he's been running from. Whatever form it takes, the key is he initiates it, not for validation, not to prove anything, but because something in her presence reminded him of who he could be. This pilgrimage is messy. It's not Instagrammable. It often happens in solitude when he realizes he wants to become a man who deserves her energy, not just desires it. He begins cutting ties with his old self. The version that relied on attention, the version that hid behind status, the version that didn't ask questions, didn't feel deeply, didn't care about self-respect. And all this because she never asked him to. That's what makes the Sigma woman so rare. She doesn't demand greatness. She awakens it just by being fully herself. So if a man starts disappearing from the noise of the world, if he begins retreating into his thoughts, if he starts making small, quiet changes that no one else sees, he's not ghosting. He's not losing interest. He's becoming, for her, but more importantly for himself. These aren't just signs of love, they're symptoms of transformation, because falling for a Sigma woman isn't about romance alone. It's about recognition, a soul-level understanding that whispers, this is someone who won't settle for anything less than truth. So if you're that Sigma woman, remember, you don't attract through effort. You attract through energy, through depth, through being fully, fiercely yourself. And if you're watching this and thinking, yeah, I've seen this in someone, know that it's not just admiration you're feeling, it's alignment. Before we part, if this video gave you something real, an insight, a mirror, a feeling of being seen, consider supporting the channel with a small gesture. You can buy me a coffee at the link in the description or the pinned comment. It helps me keep creating content that cuts through the noise and gets to the soul of things. And of course, if you haven't already, subscribe and join the tribe of wisdom seekers who walk their own path, ask the hard questions, and don't settle for surface.